course, if the Texans were in the Super Bowl, we wouldn't be, right? Okay. Jamie, you moved here from another city.
Yes.
And you were in soccer. You were mentioned in soccer. But before you came to Houston, go soccer, yeah. Right, before you
don't cheer for anything.
Yeah. I was in England for a while, and they're like, football? You mean soccer? But before moving to Houston, what did you know about the city? Because I think for a while we struggled with telling people around the country what Houston was, and we've really congealed that and come together over the last few years. What did you know before, and what do you want people to know after this Super Bowl passes?
Well, the only thing I knew when I came to Houston, Texas, is it was clear to me on day one that Houston has the best football fans on the planet. Absolutely.
And not fair weather fans, right?
And not fair weather fans.
I had number 99 tattooed on. Never mind.
But you know, Houston is a city that's been transformed. Even since the last Super Bowl in 2004, like Sally said, a parking lot becomes an iconic Central Park in the middle of Houston. And all these great developments that have gone on. Your home of the Houston Texans, NRG Stadium, has been transformed over the last 2 years. $40 million has been invested to make sure that we have the finest connectivity in the National Football League, not only for Super Bowl, but for all Texans games, and that we're a celebration of what is a cultural and cuisine capital of the Southwest. And in the area around NRG Park, millions has been put in to make sure that their arrival experience is outstanding, departure experience is great, to present Houston throughout that entire period as the great global city that we all know it to be.
I remember when the Texans first came here, and Bob McNair said, just as important as having a great athlete on the team is, I want people with good character as much as I can do that.
Absolutely.
And so, as this team of Superstar volunteers here, you're showing your character by showing up here this morning. Share with us kind of your passionate speech, your locker room speech at halftime, if you will, when you're down, but you know when to be up.
Well, you know, there's 7 pounds of platinum. That is the ultimate symbol of success in the National Football League. It's called the Lombardi Trophy. It's named after Vince Lombardi. And teamwork's required to make that happen. One of the things that Vince Lombardi said was individual commitment to a collective purpose. That's what makes a team work. That's what makes an organization work. That's what makes a society work. And that's what makes civilization work. And when I think about the job that we have in front of us, presenting Houston as the great global city that we know it to be, the most diverse city in America, a city that's fun, has all the cultural and entertainment amenities you could want, and they're accessible. And a can-do city. If you can dream it, you can do it in Houston, Texas. And us working together as a team, I have no doubt that people will leave Houston saying, Houston is a place that I want to visit again. I may want to bring my company here. I'd love to work here. And all of you are going to make it.
The greater Houston region is represented by our volunteers here today. Isn't that fantastic?
Okay, this is to both of you. What makes the difference between a good experience and a great one? It's just like my show's not called Good Day Houston, it's Great Day Houston, right? How can these Superstar volunteers make that difference?
Well, let me tell you, the Houston Texans, I'm going to give all of you our customer service playbook, right? It's really easy, and it's biodegradable. It's only 3 words. Create raving fans. That's what you need to do. You got to be a hunter. You can't be a trapper. Go out and look for opportunities to make somebody's experience exceptional. And a raving fan is that elevation that you were talking about. Not only did I just come and go to the Super Bowl, but some individual, one of 10,000 people, stepped in and did something special for me. You think in New Orleans they call it lanyard? That's something special, just a little bit more on the extra mile is how you create a memorable experience.
Well, you know, it's the first touch point. You're all the first touch point for our visitors and other Houstonians that'll be coming down to really participate in things. So it's going the distance, finding the answer, as Jamie said, being proactive, so that all of you will become the face of the Houston Super Bowl host.
Yeah. Look at that,
scale of this project would be a challenge for any team, any city, anybody. How have you been able to pull your team together?
You know, Rick Campo is our chairman of the host committee, and by the way, he sends his apologies, he can't be here today. But he is the CEO of Camden Properties. You all know his apartments around town. And that's right, they're living. But you know, the Camden property is consistently on the Fortune 100 best places to work in the United States.
So when the great day's over,
yeah. But we wanted to emulate those values, and we wanted to be able to create a culture like that. And you know, values like integrity and teamwork and collaboration, and mostly fun. And so we were fortunate to be introduced to a world-class company called Equilibria. And they have put together the teams. We put together really these values and put them into place. And so just like Lombardi, we know the need and the desire to have a great team coach. We're going to meet here in just a minute. But it's just a fantastic team that we have put together, and we're fortunate to have the leadership to do.
Yeah, because something like this can be so overwhelming. It is a lot to do. Everybody has to count. Thank you two very, very much for sharing time with us today and getting our volunteers excited. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Be the coach.
Talk about that team coach. Now let's meet him. Welcome team coach of the host committee, David Oliphant, who is going to share more about a tool the host committee is making available to you as well. David Oliphant, our team coach of the host committee. You feel good?
I like that song.
Yeah, I love that
I don't know
song.
how they picked that song for me, but I do feel good.
All right. Well, David, tell us a little bit about you and your actual role as a Super Bowl host committee team coach.
Thank you. So first of all, I'm so excited and pleased to be here, but I do work for a company called Equilibria, and what we do is we pride ourselves on creating great communication and teamwork in organizations, right? So they can be small organizations, they can be groups as large as the Superstar volunteers here today. So there's a couple ways that we do that. One, and you'll see up on the screen, we really work on things like having teams come together, effective communication and teamwork, reduce stress. Who doesn't want to reduce stress, right? Super important. And increase understanding, and of course minimizing conflict. And as Sally said, to have a great time. We're going to have fun.
Yes. So those are the tools. Those are tools we can use in everyday life, right?
No doubt, for sure.
All right. So how can the Superstar volunteers find out about their e-colors and learn more about how to use these tools in their role as Superstar volunteers?
Thank you. Well, as you saw in one of the earlier slides, I'm a yellow-blue, and I'm going to go off script as well, but if we could just go back to that slide. So I'm a yellow-blue, and it'll talk about, and the exciting news is you're going to all receive one of these, right? So you all have the opportunity, I'll tell you about that in just a second, to go online and take what we call your PDI, your Personality Diversity Indicator. And this is exactly what you're going to see after you take that. So it's going to tell you what your colors are. Again, mine are yellow over blue. Tells you what your strengths are. Very chatty, right? So I'm optimistic, people-oriented, and enthusiastic. And at Equilibria, and even on the host committee team, we do not use the word weakness, right? How often do we hear that? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? We don't have any. But we do have these things called potential limiters. So those are things, if we don't manage them really well, they might get in your way of being successful. So mine are emotional, disorganized, and excited. Right?
I think Johnson's in category too.
You and I might be a lot alike. Right.
So, okay, so basically working with your personality. So you're not working uphill. And so you just know how to deal with each situation based on what, like you said, your strengths are.
Exactly. And the nice thing is, and we'll go to the slide that kind of looks like my brain. It doesn't look like my brain, but it's going to look like a lot of our brains. Just the slide after this. It will talk about, there's my yellow bullet, right? So I am a socializer and a relator, right? So I am very interdependent on working with people. It's what makes me thrive. It's what I have to naturally do good at, right? I don't have to work on it.
Yeah.
That's in my DNA. Sally, who was up earlier, and I asked that I could share this, and she said yes. She is a green-red, so she is a thinker, and she's a doer. She thinks a lot. She gathers a lot of data, but by the time she's gathered that data, she's pulling the trigger and she's moving on, right? So she's a green red. So she's very independent. She's constantly task-oriented.
I have an ADHD brain, and it is all of the things up there.
Yeah.
It gets things done.
It's interesting you bring that up because we all have a little bit of all four colors in us, right? But the PDI will help you understand kind of what's predominant for you. So that's what's important. So that's piece one. Piece two is this thing that we call, and in my personal life, I have to tell you, I call it the 10-second rule, but it's called the pause and play button. And we have a picture of a bracelet, and I have good news, you're all getting one of these, right? It's super exciting Super Bowl. So you're all getting one of these. This happens to be a yellow-red. You'll see that it says a couple things. On one side, it says Houston Super Bowl Host Committee. Congratulations, you are part of that team. And on the second side, it says Live with Intention. And there's two other pieces on that bracelet you might see, right? They're the pause button and they're the play button. So that reminds us, you'll see that I have mine on, my yellow-blue. You can imagine for me, I have to constantly push my pause button. Why? Because I'm constantly talking. Right? So how that...
I am too, but I get paid for it.
I love that you don't think I get paid. Wait, what?
Talk show. Talk show. Talk show.
Okay. So you're going to get your bracelet. It's going to be in your colors, but we don't know your colors until after you take the PDI, right? So you'll have to take that. Then we'll know what your top color is and your secondary color, okay? The pause and play button really helped me to push pause when I'm talking too much, like right now. But there are some people with personality tendencies that don't speak up, right? They might be in a meeting or a situation where they have a great idea, and they're not saying it. Why is that? They don't feel like they have kind of the right or the ability to speak up. So for all of you and for people that you'll meet, you might look down and go, oh, I have a great idea. I'm going to share that. This might be new for me, but I'm going to step up and try that, and that's when you push your play button. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well.
That's very cool, actually, because this is something that everybody can carry on in their life, right? It's like when you leave here, marriages are getting better, your relationships with your kids are getting better, right? You use that in everyday life skills. So this whole volunteer thing that you're doing here, you've been paid in another way. This is really, it's very cool.
Well, and you will be able to get the people in your life to take this, right? So yellow blues, there's a piece of it that some people call it, I call it positive persuasion, some people call it manipulation.
Whatever gets up to me, right?
Right.
I think you might need some extra bracelets.
We might. But of course, how did I get my partner to take it? I called and said, I have homework, and you need to take this right now. Because I have to have it done by noon. So if you have someone in your life, ask them to take the PDI. And there's a children's PDI as well. Because we have a thing called e-colors in education.
All right. Your parting words to our volunteers.
Say it again.
Your parting words to our volunteers.
Well, parting words to volunteers and really how you can do this. The next slide. So you are going to receive what's called a conditional offer letter for your role as a volunteer with the host committee. This website is going to be a link within that letter. We're actually just going to click on that link. It's going to take you to a special page, which is equilibria.com/HOU Super Bowl. It's going to take you right to the PDI. You take your PDI, and then it's going to take you to another page that has the results, much like you saw for me, but also a link to a great video that we've created. Because I don't have the opportunity to sit with all of you in a class situation, which I would, trust me, love. So we have created an online video that you can pour a glass of wine and sit on your couch and kind of just learn a little bit more about what your colors are. So I would say, moving forward, my parting word. Easiest interview you ever did at Home 16 talking.
I'm back at the point of a glass of wine. After you find out what your brain is, you might pour another glass of wine.
That's a true statement. All right, here's what you can do as far as when you leave here and when you take your PDI and you understand your results and now you're starting to meet people on the streets, really the guests of this amazing city. You need to recognize your colors and then be who you are, right? Own that. And you don't have to work on your strengths. Those are natural. But think about what your potential limiters are. Embrace diversity. Equilibria is about embracing diversity, not typically that we would think about, but embracing diversity of thought and communication styles and behaviors. And be open to that. So that comes with a piece called listening to understand. Right?
It's amazing what happens with just a smile. Even though you can be mad,
Elizabeth Donald. Pull out my paper. Show people who got my hat. What he did to me.
Thank you and goodbye.
I would tell your card. I would hate for that to happen to you.
I don't know how to should I add to that? I think we'll leave it right there. But we still appreciate your being here. Thanks for TBI, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, as you all know,
Personality
Super Bowl
test.
51
What are you
is
talking
the
about?
first Super Bowl of the next half century, and because this is Houston, Texas,
Yes.
we always do things bigger and what? Better. Yes, we do. Let's meet the person who leads the juggernaut of a team with 10,000 volunteers. This is not his first rodeo, as we say in Texas. He recruited 70,000 volunteers for the London Olympics in 2012. Please welcome Andy Newman.
Nope. And I wouldn't have had a suit on. I would have come out doing sign language on. That's how I would have handled that. They have no interpreters up here. How do you know any of these volunteers do not have a hearing loss? They don't know that. Yeah.
Hello, Andy.
Hello.
That's a good idea that needs to be brought up.
Thank you for indulging me with that. That has been my dream to do since I was born. So thank you.
No.
And as you can see, he's not from here originally. So you did football growing up. It was soccer, wasn't it?
It was something.
Oh, right. Well, okay, I'm looking around right now. As we mentioned before, this is an overwhelming process. That's why everybody's got to have their head in the game, if you will. So here you are. Here they all are. You conducted interview after interview after interview to get the cream of the crop. And so here they are right here.
No.
So how do you feel?
I've waited over 12 months to be able to say this. Hello, superstars. And just let me tell you this, you guys look amazing. I can see each and every single one of you right at the very back of the second tier. Thank you all so much for being here. You look amazing.
You can see everybody back there because you must be under 40 because... Okay, so like Sally, you have some amazing experiences. So how have you found yourself dealing with this experience right here? It's got to be a big adrenaline rush.
Huge. I mean, the first interview that I completed as part of the recruitment centre was a guy I'm hoping here, Jim, I hope you're here. We just had a great conversation as part of the interview. And there's so many within this room that just have skills and experiences, engineers that can build amazing things. What gets me going is just building a team of people. And just, it's incredibly special to be here today, to see all of you come together. As you mentioned, this isn't my first rodeo, and whilst I've been watching James Bond for the last week, this is my genuine accent. I was very fortunate to be part of London 2012, the Olympics and Paralympics, recruiting 70,000 volunteers for that event. They became known as the Games Makers because they did exactly that, they made the games. And this is the opportunity that we have here in front of you. It's why we call you all superstars. That was hugely important for us. This is the biggest show on earth, the Super Bowl, and you guys are going to be the stars of our team. So it's been amazing for me. In the last 10 years, I've recruited over 250,000 volunteers, and this really is just the cherry on top of that cake.
Andy, my husband, spent part of his childhood in England, and we go back to visit, and they say, where are you from? You say, Texas. And they go, oh, Dallas, JRU. Oh, San Antonio, the Alamo, remember it. Right? No. Yeah, we have some SA folks here. And we go, Houston. And there was a time when people would say, Houston. I mean, Houston. So, what did you know about Houston before you came here? What would you tell family back home?
As we said earlier, everything is bigger and better in Texas. And Houston loves their football, so there is no better city in the world to host Super Bowl 51.
What's your end goal to share your vision to the thousands here? Your end goal.
There's a cornerstone to this program, and it's a quote that you're perhaps all familiar with. That people will forget what you said, people will forget what you do, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that is the cornerstone of this program, that is the cornerstone of your role. And indeed, if the 1 million+ guests enjoy all the restaurants and bars, they might well forget what they said. And there's a possibility that they might forget what they did as well. But the way in which you guys will make them feel, how you'll make them feel special. And there's an analogy that I love, and it's great that we're here on a basketball court.
We probably all had our fans and idols as we grew up, and mine was Michael Jordan. And there was a question that was made to David Falk, his agent, and it was simply this: how is it that Michael Jordan carries himself and delivers in such an exceptional way each and every single game, 82 games a season, year in, year out? And the response was this: as Michael Jordan comes out for his training, he looks around as I'm doing now at this amazing crowd, and he knows as he looks, there's always a little boy or a little girl in the crowd. This is their first and only time that they'll ever see Michael Jordan play. And those were the people that he was playing for. That's how it helped him excel. And as Jamie and Sally spoke earlier on, it's been 12 long years since Houston has last hosted a Super Bowl. And with 1 million+ people that are coming here, this likely will be their one and only Super Bowl opportunity and memories that they're going to have. And all of you, the 10,000 as part of this team, you'll be our ambassadors and the faces of this city, providing those memories and giving them that amazing experience from the first person that comes from the airport to the final goodbye that you may give a Super Bowl live at FLX. That's the impact that we're looking for, and I've got every faith in the world with the Southern hospitality that Houston is famous for will do the most incredible job.
Some things, really a short amount of time, you're doing something as big as this. So walk us through the journey of what's going to happen in the weeks and months ahead as Super Bowl 51 approaches.
As that video called out, we invited 20,000 people to come to our recruitment centre. So it is no joke that you guys truly are the creams of the crop. So congratulations to each and every single one of you being here today. We closed the recruitment centre just 1 week ago, and we have our photo here, the final shift that we had when Saturday closed. And what I'd like to do is just take one brief moment to thank firstly, all of our interviewers. Over 320 of our interviews. We would not be here today, all of us would not be here today. Without the commitment and the time that our interviewers provided to us. So can I ask everyone in their grey polos, stand in the front, please stand up. Thank you for this. And with a programme of this scale, we always need community support and advice from those that have been there, done that. They understand the stakeholders. So I'd like to also thank many of our members from our Voluntary Advisory Committee, headed by Elizabeth Killinger and Janice Burke. So again, a big thank you to our Voluntary Advisory Committee. Their advice has been superb throughout this entire journey. So on to the next steps, and this is incredibly important. We saw the video there in terms of the journey that we've been through so far today. So I'm going to try and paint a picture in your mind so you understand what's going to come, because there are actions that we'll be asking of you. So please enjoy the rest of today. It goes without saying. After today, towards the back end of this month, we'll all be emailing you to which the security and background check needs to take place. Super Bowl 51 is a Category 1 event, so you can understand that security is an absolute priority for the host committee, for the city, and for the NFL. You will all receive an email asking you guys to give us permission for that background check to be completed at the end of this month. Please take that action. You will not be able to move forward without completing that background check. Very soon after, we'll then be sending you offers, your role offer, to each and every single one of you. So me and my team, and I should give a really big call out to my team, Asia, and Heather, Annie, and Pat. There's 5 of us and 10,000 of you guys. This would not be possible without my team behind me, so big thank you to those guys. We are looking now at all of your preferences, your application, your skills, your experiences, and aligning all of what you told with the specific demands and the roles that we have for Super Bowl 51, so we provide that experience. So those offers will be going out to you. Please, again, accept those offers. Soon after the offers, training will commence, and that will be the back end of November for our identified captains, our volunteer captains, at the back end of November. Training will continue on in December and January, but at the back end of this year, in addition to your role offer, you will then receive an email pertaining to your schedule of shifts. Again, please accept those shifts as part of the criteria to meet to be here today is your availability from the 27th through to the 5th. So we'll be looking for you guys to just be a massive part of that team during those 10 days of festivities. And then we get into the really fun stuff that we'll talk to in a second, of distributing all of your amazing uniform, your accreditation passes, and then we're off to the races.
What is it about an accent? I was mesmerized by what you were saying. Okay, I still know that when we go to England and we just start talking like we normally talk, are y'all as mesmerized by our accent? Okay, we're going to stay with this. And you made the comparison to an athlete's preparation earlier. Let's introduce one of our hometown star athletes. He's a